Before we begin, pause for just a second. If you enjoy powerful stories that restore your faith in humanity, stories that stay with you long after the screen goes dark, then tap the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. It truly helps these stories reach people who need them most. Now settle in, because this story will hook you from the first moment and won't let go until the very end. Everyone in the federal building knew Captain Marcus Hale of the United States Marine Corps. His uniform was always sharp, his posture rigid, his reputation intimidating. He had the kind of presence that made conversations stop mid-sentence when he entered a room. To many, he was a war hero, a symbol of discipline and order. To others, especially the civilian staff, he was a man who expected perfection and had little patience for excuses. That morning, Captain Hale walked through the polished halls with purpose, irritation simmering just beneath the surface. An important inter-service briefing was scheduled in less than an hour, and something had gone missing from the secured conference room. At the far end of the hallway, quietly mopping the floor, was Daniel Reyes, the janitor most people barely noticed. Daniel was a single father in his mid-30s, shoulders slightly hunched not from weakness but from years of carrying more weight than anyone ever asked about. His nights were long, his mornings early. After cleaning office buildings until dawn, he rushed home to wake his 8-year-old daughter, Sophia, make her breakfast, and walk her to school before starting his second shift. His life was a constant balancing act, held together by love, exhaustion, and quiet determination. When Captain Hale spotted Daniel outside the conference room, mop bucket beside him, irritation sharpened into suspicion. Hale stopped abruptly and turned. His voice cut through the hallway like a blade. He demanded to know if Daniel had been inside the room earlier. Daniel nodded, respectfully explaining that he'd been assigned to clean it before sunrise. Hale's eyes narrowed. Classified documents, he said, had gone missing. No one else had been in or out. The implication hung heavy in the air. Daniel felt his chest tighten. He calmly explained that he never touched anything on the tables, that he followed protocol to the letter. He had worked in federal buildings for years without a single incident. But Captain Hale barely listened. Years of command had trained him to trust procedure over people, instincts over explanations. He accused Daniel of lying, his voice loud enough for others to hear. A few staff members slowed their steps, glancing over with curiosity and discomfort. Humiliated, Daniel stood there gripping the handle of his mop, cheeks burning. He thought of Sophia, of how hard he worked to keep their lives stable, of how easily one accusation could shatter everything. He asked, quietly but firmly, that the security cameras be checked. Captain Hale scoffed, convinced that guilt always hid behind calm voices. He ordered Daniel to remain where he was until security arrived. As minutes passed, tension filled the hallway. Daniel's mind raced, but he stayed still, knowing that anger would only confirm Hale's assumptions. Then the elevator doors at the end of the corridor opened. Conversations fell silent as a woman stepped out, her uniform immediately commanding respect. She was a Navy Admiral, her presence calm yet powerful, her eyes sharp with experience. Admiral Evelyn Carter had arrived early for the briefing, unnoticed until that moment. She took in the scene instantly. A Marine captain standing rigid with accusation, a janitor detained beside a mop bucket, staff frozen in awkward silence. Admiral Carter approached, her footsteps measured. She asked what was going on, her tone not harsh but authoritative. Captain Hale snapped to attention and explained the situation, confident in his conclusion. He repeated that the janitor was lying and that missing documents were a serious breach. Admiral Carter turned her gaze to Daniel. She didn't see a suspect. She saw a tired man standing with dignity under pressure. She asked his name. Daniel answered. She asked about his shift, his routine, and he explained calmly, respectfully, without embellishment. Then she asked a question that shifted everything. She asked Captain Hale if the security footage had been reviewed. Hale hesitated. It had not. Admiral Carter's expression hardened, not with anger, but disappointment. She ordered security to pull the footage immediately. As they waited, she made conversation with Daniel, asking about his family. He mentioned Sophia, how she loved drawing ships because her mother used to talk about the ocean before she passed away. Admiral Carter listened intently, her eyes softening just a little. When security returned, they confirmed what Daniel had said. The footage showed him cleaning methodically, never touching the documents. The missing folder had been removed later by a civilian contractor who had already been identified. The accusation collapsed in an instant. Captain Hale felt something unfamiliar settle in his chest. Shame. He looked at Daniel, really looked at him for the first time. Not as a potential threat, not as a uniform without rank, but as a man. Hale cleared his throat and apologized, stiffly at first, then more sincerely as the weight of his mistake sank in. Daniel accepted quietly. He was used to swallowing moments like this for the sake of peace. Admiral Carter wasn't finished. She addressed Captain Hale, reminding him that leadership wasn't just about authority, but accountability. That true strength came from listening, from humility, from recognizing the humanity in everyone who served the mission, whether in uniform or not. Her words were firm but fair, and they lingered long after she walked away. Later that day, Captain Hale sought Daniel out. Not to command, but to talk. He asked about Sophia, about Daniel's schedule, about his life. For the first time in years, Hale listened without interrupting. Before leaving, he handed Daniel his card and told him to call if he ever needed anything. It wasn't a grand gesture, but it was real. Weeks later, Daniel received help securing a better shift, one that allowed him more time with his daughter. Captain Hale began greeting janitorial staff by name, his sharp edges softened by awareness. Admiral Carter's intervention rippled outward in ways none of them fully understood. The story didn't end with applause or medals. It ended with something quieter and far more powerful. A reminder that dignity doesn't come from rank, that truth doesn't always wear authority, and that sometimes the strongest moment in a leader's life is the moment they realize they were wrong. If this story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you to look at people more closely, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this matter, because somewhere right now, someone is standing silently, hoping to be seen.